Well, time now to welcome a guest to the Inside Sleeve. I'm joined by virtuoso oud player Joseph Tawadros. Hello.
Hey, Robbie, how are you?
Good.
It's so nice of you to say that, you know.
Well, look, I was...
Virtuoso oud player.
Yeah, I was wondering, that's how you're described. You're described as a virtuoso oud player, and I do wonder, when do you go from being a very proficient oud player to a virtuoso?
Well,
is there a line you cross?
I'm not sure. I think that term's just thrown around, you know, master, you know, virtuoso. It's whatever. It's just a player, really. It's just another word. Beef it up.
Yeah.
You know, but you got to add the rhetoric. That's what you got to do.
You do. That said, you do get recognised around the world as one of the great players of this particular instrument.
Yeah, well, I guess it's a privilege and an honour that it's that's bestowed upon me. You know, so it's it's great. I'm just doing what I love and very passionate about the oud. And
well, let's talk about the instrument for a little while. It's you're cradling it on your lap at the moment. It's essentially a lute, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's the ancestor of the lute. So basically, the lute comes from the oud, and then the guitar comes from the lute. So it's a very historically significant instrument. And the word lute, I explained it probably a gazillion times, but the word lute comes from al-oud. So oud, lute, very similar words.
And it actually used to be a hieroglyphic symbol.
That's right,
Nefer. In ancient Egypt.
Yeah, the hieroglyphic letter is Nefer. And you see it on reliefs and stuff like that. Again, very historical and very beginning of time stuff.
Yeah. You were born in Egypt. You came to Australia very young when you were only 3. Was it always going to be the oud that you would play?
No, I wanted to play trumpet, actually. That was because my uncle was a great trumpet player in Egypt, so I really wanted to play trumpet. And then I came across the oud in a movie, in an old Arabic movie, and I just fell in love with it. And
the look or the sound?
Well, the sound, and the movie was very glorified. It was about an Egyptian composer, so it's quite glorified in the way they made him appear, and maybe that attracted me. But I then found out that my grandfather was a great oud player in Cairo, and mixed with all the nostalgia and the stories, I was really keen to learn it, and I fell in love with it. I'm still in love with it, which is great.
Well, what you've been doing with the oud is what is so exciting. You can obviously play it as a single instrument, and we're about to hear that. Yeah. But you have this great fascination with trying to slot it into all these new musical landscapes that generally aren't considered the natural home of an instrument like the oud.
Yeah, well, I think it comes from my interest of music and the love for the instrument. It's keeping myself fresh and challenging myself. So I listen to all the players that I collaborate with, and I love them as players, and I love them as CDs in the car or something to listen to them. So it's a real privilege that I get the chance to play with them. And
we'll talk about that, because you've just recently you've played with some incredible musicians in the States, of course. Yeah. You also played with the Australian Chamber Orchestra recently. A fairly broad range. Yeah. Of music.
I've been very lucky to get those platforms, but that's all through really, the love of the instrument, the love of music mixed in with a bit of luck and the way the world brings people together.
All right. Well, let's take a little listen to it, because it is a beautiful sounding instrument with other players, but also when you strip it back just to its own individual self, something quite extraordinary too. What would you like to play for us?
I'll play a piece which is originally a duet for oud and double bass. It's a piece called Give or Take. It's kind of a faster tune, so we'll see if I can be up to the challenge. So here it is. This is Give or Take.
Wonderful stuff. Joseph Tawadros playing the oud for you today here on the Inside Sleeve, and that one called Give or Take. It's furious, isn't it? I mean, you really get into that, the speed of it.
It's kind of more of a modern piece, so it's the oud is really quite a melodic instrument, so a melody line. So that with that one, that's kind of got chords and things like that. So but you really do get into it. So it's an instrument that can be fiery and happening, but it can be soft and slow and sad.
It's a very Middle Eastern sounding instrument, obviously, and you have been very conscious in moving it into lots of other areas of music. And for the most recent recording, for example, the album Chameleons of the White Shadow, you were in New York and you recorded with some really incredible musicians. Bella Fleck, the banjo player. There was also Richard Boner, the bassist. Roy Ayres, the vibraphone player. Joey DiFrancesco, Hammond organ. Now, these are players that have come very much from a jazz background, really. And I'm wondering how you integrate with those players on an instrument like that. Is there any tension about how it actually sits within the field of sound?
Well, I think it's important. I was thinking about it the other day. I think it's really important. It doesn't really come down to the instrument, but really the player. So I'm really collaborating with people. You know, I'm not collaborating with a banjo or a Hammond or a vibraphone. I'm really collaborating with the person themselves. And they're such great players that they can adapt to those things. And the oud is Middle Eastern. It's undeniably Middle Eastern. And so we have that platform. And I thought about it the other day. I really usually only play or record with instruments which I feel are neutral in a way. So I haven't recorded with a sitar or a Spanish guitar because I know that takes you to that region straight away. Whereas with this with these instruments, in a way, the players are so great, and that's hence why the title's called The Chameleons of the White Shadow. Chameleons being, they can adapt to anything or adapting to their environment. And White Shadow was this idea which I had, which is basically the elusive sound, the sound that all chameleons seek. It's the thing that, they're always looking for, the new sound. So basically, Chameleons of the White Shadow, adapting to something that is being created or hasn't been created yet. So that's how I feel the players are, and it is collaborating on many levels, not just with the instrument. And the album is about bringing instruments which aren't usually with the oud, so banjo, Hammond organ, tuba, accordion, and these are instruments which you wouldn't expect with the oud, but somehow we make them work, and I think that's through the vision and through the help of working together with these players and sharing that same vision.
It even gets funky on this record.
It gets funky.
It does get funky.
Yeah, add an A in there. It's funky.
Which you don't expect from the oud. I mean, are there precedents, or are you?
No, well, that's the idea. It's also working to people's strengths as well. You get these players and you listen to them and you know them back to front. When you listen to their music and watch them play. So you give them stuff that they're comfortable with, stuff that challenges them, but stuff that they are familiar with as well, because it's no use dropping someone in the deep end and then, it really can be a fine line. You can actually get a mishmash, really, if it's not planned well or done well.
Exactly. I mean, you're looking right on the verges of...
You're the verges of disaster, actually.
That's right, you're looking at
when
the
you get
precipice.
Hammond organ and oud and trying to make it funky, well, you go, well, you're in territory there that, people haven't gone there for a reason. But if you really do your homework and you really connect with the player, like Joey DiFrancesco, I met in Paris and we talked, and
the Hammond player.
Yeah, the Hammond player. I thought, this guy.
So here's a guy that's played with Miles Davis in the past when he was a teenager still. When you sit down to work out what you're going to do together, what's the negotiation?
Well, I write the tunes, so I've got the tunes ready in mind, and I'll say, this is so Joey. I know it, and I can feel it. And so I send him the tunes, and then we just talk about it, and they're really into it. They're really into the idea. And Joey had never been asked by anyone, like from an ethnic, well, let's say some sort of ethnic instrument to play with. So he was really stoked. He was like, well, this is time to really show what he can do. So I think, it's the player, the instrument, and doing your homework of what they're comfortable with. Because if you really give people stuff that they're strong at, the recording will be strong. And, we adapt to each other and we inspire each other. And then when we get to the recording and rehearsal, we know what we're doing and we have a an idea. And I think between us, I hope that we could probably identify if it's a mishmash or not at the time. So no, but it was really great, and from the first notes playing together, we knew it was on. So.
Is there any area of music that you won't go into? I mean, or are there other areas of music that you're keen to go into, which are, again, even further out there on the edge?
There's one area I probably won't enter again. That was improvised punk. Well, I think a lot of it is, but and yeah, I don't know if I'd venture into that again because there was a lot of feedback and stuff like that. A bit of craziness. And,
but you're interested in heavy metal?
Yeah, I love that sort of stuff, and I'm at the moment trying to hound a couple of big dudes into getting together because a lot of those heavy metal dudes are playing Middle Eastern scales and they're shredding the hell out of it. And I'm a bit not prone to shredding. So I needed a shred album. About time I had a shred album. But no, yeah, I'm really interested in that medium. But of course, for the oud to maintain its integrity in sound, that's the most important thing, not to lose or put it through a pedal and make it so foreign. So. I think it's all about collaborating with maintaining the integrity of the oud. So if we can make it happen and try and work it out, we'll see. But that one I think could be close to the disaster. I don't know if ABC will be playing that on classics.
Joseph, thanks ever so much for your time today. It's been great.
Thanks, Robbie. It was great.
Can we get maybe just one more song from you?
Sure.
stuff, man. That was great. Thank you. What was the name of that second one?
Work. WORK.
Beauty.
The Inside Sleeve with Robbie Buck on RN.